Welcome to Smart English Coach Podcast.
Let's improve your fluency together, one real conversation at a time.
Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest, really honest. When was the last time you put yourself first? Not your job, not your family, not your friends. You. Just you.
Ooh, that's a heavy question to start with, Michael.
I know. But here's the thing. Most people can't even answer that question. They just go quiet. They think about it for a second, and then they realize they genuinely don't remember. And that says a lot.
That's actually really sad when you think about it.
It is. And today, we're diving deep into something that a lot of people talk about, but very few people actually practice. And that is self-love. Loving yourself. Truly, deeply, unapologetically loving yourself.
And before anyone clicks away thinking, oh, this is just another feel-good motivational talk, I promise you it's not. This conversation is going to be real, honest, and maybe a little uncomfortable.
Because the truth about self-love is not what Instagram tells you it is.
Exactly. It's not bubble baths and scented candles.
Although, candles are nice.
They are. Nobody's saying throw out the candles.
But seriously, welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm Michael.
And I'm Sarah, and we are so glad you're here today because this topic, self-love, is something that touches every single one of us, no matter where you're from, what language you speak, or what your life looks like right now.
And if you're listening to this while you're commuting, cooking, working out, or just relaxing, perfect. Just let the English wash over you. Let it sink in. That's how you improve your listening fluency, by being present with real, natural conversation.
All right, let's get into it.
So Sarah, let's start with the basics. What does self-love actually mean to you? Like, in your own words, not the dictionary definition.
Okay, honestly, for a long time, I thought self-love was a bit fluffy, like a concept people used in self-help books but didn't really apply to real life.
Fluffy. I love that word. Fluffy means something soft, light, not very serious, not very substantial.
Exactly. Like, oh, love yourself. Okay, but how? What does that actually look like on a Tuesday morning when you're stressed and you've overslept and your coffee machine just broke?
That is the most specific example.
It happened to me last week. I'm not joking.
Okay. So your coffee machine broke, you're late, you're stressed. Where does self-love fit into that moment?
That's what I used to wonder. And then I realized self-love isn't a feeling you have on good days. It's more like a practice, a choice you make, especially on the hard days.
Yes, that's such an important distinction. Self-love is not a mood. It's not something you feel when everything is going well. It's a commitment you make to yourself, no matter what.
And I think that's where most people get confused. They think self-love is about feeling happy all the time, but actually it's about respecting yourself even when you don't feel great.
Right. Let me put it another way. Self-love is how you treat yourself, your thoughts, your words, your choices, day after day. It's the relationship you have with yourself.
And most of us have never really thought about it as a relationship, have we?
Most people haven't. They think about their relationship with their partner, their boss, their parents, but their relationship with themselves, that one gets ignored.
And yet, it's the most important one.
By far. Because every other relationship in your life is shaped by the one you have with yourself.
Okay, so let's talk about the inner voice, because I think this is where self-love either lives or dies.
Oh, the inner voice, the inner critic.
Yes, that voice in your head, the one that says things like, you're not good enough, you made a mistake again, why can't you just get it right?
That voice is brutal for some people.
It's incredibly brutal. And the scary thing is, most people don't even realize how harsh they're being to themselves. It becomes automatic.
You know what I find really striking? If a friend came to you and said, I feel like such an idiot. I completely messed that up. I'm such a failure. What would you say to them?
I'd say, no, you're not. Everyone makes mistakes. You're being way too hard on yourself.
Exactly. You'd be kind. You'd be supportive. You'd try to help them see things differently. But when it's yourself saying those things to yourself, most people just agree.
Oh, that's so true. We just accept it. We don't even question it.
Way too hard on yourself. That's a really useful phrase, by the way. If someone says, I feel terrible about what I did, you can say, hey, I think you're being way too hard on yourself. It means you're treating yourself more harshly than you deserve.
And I think the first step in self-love is honestly just noticing that inner critic, becoming aware of it.
Awareness is everything. You can't change what you can't see. Once you start noticing how you speak to yourself, the words, the tone, the frequency, that's when things can start to shift.
And I'll be real, when I first started paying attention to my inner voice, I was honestly shocked. Like I would never speak to another person the way I was speaking to myself.
That's such a common realization, and it's uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is actually really important. It means you're waking up.
Okay, so let's talk about why. Why is it so hard for people to love themselves? Because I don't think anyone wakes up and decides, today I'm going to be unkind to myself. It's not like that.
No, it's not. And I think there are a few really significant reasons. One of the big ones is conditioning.
Conditioning?
Yeah. From the time we're children, many of us are taught, either directly or indirectly, that our worth depends on our performance, on how well we do, on what other people think of us.
Like good job when you do something right, but silence or disappointment when you don't.
Exactly. So we grow up believing I am only lovable when I succeed, when I'm useful, when I'm perfect. And that's a really dangerous belief to carry around.
Because you're never going to be perfect.
Nobody is. And so people spend their whole lives chasing this impossible standard, feeling like they're always falling short, always not enough.
And that phrase, not enough, I think it's one of the most painful things a person can feel, this deep sense that you are fundamentally not enough.
It is painful, and a lot of people medicate that pain in different ways. Overworking, people-pleasing, staying in bad relationships, scrolling through social media for hours, looking for external validation to fill an internal hole.
People-pleasing. Let's talk about that one because I think it's so connected to self-love.
Oh, absolutely. People-pleasing, always trying to make everyone around you happy at the expense of your own needs, is one of the biggest signs that someone has not yet developed a strong sense of self-love.
Because you're essentially saying your approval is more important than my own peace.
Yes, and people-pleasing, what a great collocation. To please someone means to make them happy. A people-pleaser is someone who can't say no, who constantly puts others first, who feels guilty whenever they do something for themselves.
And I was such a people pleaser for years. It was exhausting.
Can you talk about that? Like, what did that actually look like in your life?
Yeah, it looked like saying yes to things I didn't want to do. It looked like staying quiet when someone treated me badly because I didn't want to cause trouble. It looked like apologizing constantly, even for things that weren't my fault.
Constantly apologizing, over-apologizing. That's another really common pattern.
And the crazy thing is, I thought I was being kind. I thought, this is just who I am. I'm a caring person. But actually, underneath it all, I was terrified. Terrified of rejection, terrified of not being liked.
And that's the root of people-pleasing. Fear, not genuine kindness.
Exactly. True kindness comes from a full cup, but I was giving from an empty one and wondering why I felt so drained.
Give from a full cup. That's such a beautiful phrase. And it means you can only truly give to others when you first take care of yourself, when your own cup is full, meaning your energy, your well-being, your emotional resources are taken care of.
Okay, I know some people are going to push back on this because there's this idea, especially in many cultures, that putting yourself first is selfish, that self-love is ego, that you should always think about others before yourself.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions around this topic.
A misconception, for any learners who might not know that word, is a wrong belief, something you think is true but actually isn't.
Good one. And the misconception here is that loving yourself means you don't love others, but that's simply not true.
In fact, it's the complete opposite.
When you genuinely love yourself, when you feel secure in who you are, when you know your own worth, you can love other people so much more freely. You're not looking for them to complete you. You're not desperate for their approval. You can give without expectation.
Because you're not coming from a place of lack. You're coming from abundance.
Exactly. People who haven't done this inner work often love others in quite a chaotic way. They become controlling, jealous, needy, or they give too much and then feel resentful.
Resentful. That's such an important word. It means you feel bitterness or anger towards someone because you feel you gave more than you received, or because you feel your sacrifices weren't appreciated.
And so many people in relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, even family, carry enormous resentment. And it often comes back to this. They weren't taking care of themselves. They were giving and giving, hoping the other person would somehow give them the self-worth they were missing.
And no one can give you that.
No one. That's the hard truth. You have to find it within yourself.
Find it within yourself, meaning look inside, not outside, not in other people's opinions or reactions, inside yourself.
Hey, quick pause for a second. If you're enjoying this conversation and you're finding it useful for your English learning journey, please take a moment to give this video a thumbs up. It genuinely helps the channel grow and reach more learners around the world.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We put out conversations just like this one regularly. Real, natural English that helps you build your listening fluency and your speaking confidence.
All right, back to the conversation, because we're getting to the really good stuff now.
Okay, so we've talked about what self-love is, why it's hard, and why it's not selfish. Now let's make it practical. Because I think people hear this and they think, okay, great, but what do I actually do?
Right. Real talk. Practical self-love.
Because again, it's not just candles and journaling, right?
No offense to candles. But yes, self-love shows up in the small, everyday decisions.
Give me an example.
Okay, say you're exhausted. You've had a long week. A friend texts you and invites you to a party, and you really genuinely don't want to go. Self-love is being able to say, "Thank you so much, but I'm going to sit this one out. I need to rest," without feeling guilty about it.
Sit this one out. That's such a natural phrase. It means to not participate in something, to skip it, to stay out of it.
Exactly. I'm going to sit this one out. You might say that in sports. "Coach, can I sit this one out?" Or socially, "I'm going to sit this one out tonight."
And for so many people, that feels impossible because they think, my friend will be upset. What if they think I don't care about them?
And that's where the self-love comes in. Trusting that a real friend will understand. Knowing that your rest is not a betrayal of anyone. That taking care of yourself is not a crime.
Another example of practical self-love, I think, is setting boundaries. And boundaries is another word people throw around a lot, but let's really understand what it means.
Yes, a boundary is basically a line you draw. It's a limit. It's a way of saying, this is what I'm okay with, and this is what I'm not okay with, and communicating that clearly to other people.
Like, I'm not available after 9 p.m. for work emails. That's a boundary.
Or, I won't accept being spoken to disrespectfully. That's a boundary.
Or, I can't lend you money right now. That's a boundary.
Boundaries can feel really scary to set, especially if you've never done it before. But they are one of the most loving things you can do for yourself.
And here's the interesting thing. When you set clear boundaries, the right people respect them. And the people who get angry at you for having boundaries, those are usually the people who are benefiting from you not having them.
That's a sharp observation, Sarah. That's really sharp.
I learned the hard way.
Didn't we all? Another practical form of self-love, I think, is how you spend your time. Are you doing things that nourish you? Things that genuinely bring you joy, rest, growth?
Nourish, like food, right? Food nourishes your body, but we can also say things that nourish the soul, nourish the mind.
Exactly. And the opposite, how much of your time is spent doing things that drain you, that exhaust you, that make you feel small?
That's such a useful exercise. Just looking at your week and asking, how much of this time was nourishing and how much of it was draining?
And not judging yourself for the answer, just noticing. That's the first step.
Can we talk about comparison? Because I think this is absolutely killing people's self-love in the modern world.
Oh, social media comparison?
Social media, but also just everyday life comparison. She's more successful than me. He looks better than me. They have a nicer home. She's got a perfect relationship. That constant measuring of yourself against everyone else.
There's a quote I love. I don't remember exactly who said it, but the idea is, comparison is the thief of joy. And it's so true.
It steals your joy because you're not looking at your own life anymore. You're looking at someone else's highlight reel.
Highlight reel. I love this expression. It comes from sports. A highlight reel is just the best moments, the most exciting plays, the biggest wins. It doesn't include the misses, the failures, the boring training sessions.
And that's exactly what social media is. Everybody's highlight reel. You're comparing your behind the scenes, your messy reality, to everyone else's polished performance.
And it's not a fair comparison. It's never a fair comparison.
So what do we do? Because social media isn't going away.
First, curate your feed. This is a really important piece of practical self-love. Be intentional about what you consume. If certain accounts consistently make you feel bad about yourself, unfollow them. You have that power.
Curate. Such a good word. It means to carefully select and organize. Curators do this in museums. They choose which pieces to display. You can curate what enters your mind.
And the second thing, and this is a mindset shift, try to move from comparison to inspiration. Instead of
There's one piece of self-love I really want to talk about that I think gets overlooked, and that is self-forgiveness.
Oh, yeah, this one is big.
Forgiving yourself for the mistakes you've made, for the things you wish you'd done differently, for the time you wasted, for the people you may have hurt.
Because a lot of people carry their past around like a heavy weight, like a backpack full of rocks they just refuse to put down.
And they keep punishing themselves over and over for something that already happened that they can't change.
And I think there's this belief, unconsciously, that punishing yourself is somehow noble. Like, if I feel bad enough about what I did, that means I'm a good person.
Yes, if I suffer enough, I'll be absolved. But that's not how it works. Self-punishment doesn't erase the past. It just ruins the present.
So how do you actually practice self-forgiveness? Because saying just forgive yourself is easy. Doing it is another story.
I think it starts with acknowledging what happened, not brushing it under the carpet, but really looking at it. I made this mistake. I said that thing. I made that choice, and it had consequences.
Brush it under the carpet. Great idiom. It means to hide something, to pretend it didn't happen, to avoid dealing with it.
And after acknowledgement, I think you ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How has this made me wiser? Because every mistake, genuinely every single one, has something to teach you.
And then you consciously decide, I'm not carrying this anymore. You make a choice to let it go.
Let it go. Not forget, not pretend it didn't matter, but release the emotional grip it has on you.
And I think the other part is making amends where possible. If you hurt someone, apologize. Try to repair the damage, and then let it go. You can't do more than that.
You can't change the past, but you can choose how you move forward. And that's an act of self-love.
Let's talk about relationships, because I think self-love completely changes who you attract into your life and how you show up in relationships.
Absolutely. You know that saying, you teach people how to treat you?
Yes, and I believe that completely. When you don't love yourself, when you don't know your own worth, you unconsciously accept treatment that you don't deserve.
You tolerate things. You make excuses for people. You stay in situations way past their expiration date.
Past their expiration date. I love this expression. Like food that's gone bad, like milk that's expired. A relationship that's past its expiration date is one that's no longer good for you, but you're still holding on to it.
And when you develop genuine self-love, something shifts. Your standards change, not in an arrogant way, but in a healthy way. You begin to say, I deserve to be treated with respect. I deserve honesty. I deserve consistency.
And you stop being so afraid of losing people who don't treat you well, because you know you'll be okay on your own.
That's one of the most powerful shifts self-love creates. When you're not afraid of being alone, you're free. You're not staying in bad situations out of desperation. You're choosing your relationships consciously.
And the relationships you do have become so much healthier because you're two whole people coming together, not two incomplete people trying to fill each other's gaps.
Two whole people. That's the goal. Not you complete me. That sounds romantic, but it's actually not healthy.
Sorry, Jerry Maguire.
Iconic movie line, but problematic relationship model.
The healthier version is... Okay, let's wrap up the conversation with something really practical. What are some simple habits people can start building right now to practice self-love every single day?
Great idea. Let's make this actionable.
Actionable, meaning you can actually do it. Take action on it.
First one, talk to yourself kindly. This sounds simple, but it's transformative. When you catch yourself being harsh in your thoughts, stop and ask, would I say this to a good friend? If not, rephrase it, reframe it.
I love that exercise. Simple but powerful.
Second, protect your energy. Pay attention to how different people, environments, and activities make you feel. Some things give you energy, some drain it. Make choices accordingly.
Third, practice saying no. Start small. It gets easier with time. And remember, no is a complete sentence. You don't always have to explain or justify yourself.
No is a complete sentence. That's a phrase I want everyone to write down. You can say, no, thank you. And that's enough. You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation for your choices.
Fourth, invest in yourself.
Read books, take courses, go to therapy if you need it, and there's absolutely no shame in that. Exercise your body, nourish your mind, give yourself the things that help you grow.
And fifth, and this one is probably the most important, stop waiting to feel worthy. Don't wait until you lose the weight, get the promotion, find the partner, fix the problem. You are worthy right now, as you are.
That one hits hard.
It should, because so many people are living their lives in a waiting room. I'll be happy when, I'll love myself when, and the when never comes, because there's always another condition you haven't met yet.
Start now, exactly as you are.
All right, before we go, let's quickly go over some of the best expressions we use today, because review is such an important part of learning.
Yes, let's do it.
First, way too hard on yourself. It means being excessively critical of yourself. I made one mistake. I shouldn't be way too hard on myself about it.
Give from a full cup. Take care of yourself so you can genuinely give to others. You can't pour from an empty cup. You have to give from a full one.
Sit this one out. To choose not to participate in something. I'm exhausted. I think I'll sit this one out tonight.
Brush it under the carpet. To hide or avoid dealing with a problem. We can't just brush this under the carpet. We need to talk about it.
Past its expiration date. When something, a relationship, a job, a situation, is no longer healthy or useful, and it's time to move on. I think this friendship is past its expiration date.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparing yourself to others steals your happiness and contentment.
And no is a complete sentence. You have the right to say no without over-explaining. Remember, no is a complete sentence.
Now, we want to hear from you, because learning English is not a passive activity. You have to engage with it, think in it, use it.
So here are some questions for you to think about, and we genuinely want you to answer in the comments. Practice your English. Don't be shy.
Question 1. What is one area of your life where you know you've been way too hard on yourself? Tell us in the comments.
Question 2. Is there a boundary you've been wanting to set but haven't had the courage to yet? Share it. Even writing it out is a step toward making it real.
Question 3. What is one thing you can do this week? Just one small thing to show yourself a little more love and kindness.
Write your answers below. In English, even just a sentence or two. It's practice, and it counts.
All right, we are coming to the end of today's conversation. And honestly, this one felt really meaningful.
It did. And if there's one thing I want you to walk away with today, it's this. Loving yourself is not a destination. It's a daily practice. Some days you'll do it well. Some days you'll slip back into old patterns. That's okay. Be gentle with yourself.
The journey toward self-love is not a straight line. It's messy, it's nonlinear, and it's absolutely worth it.
Because when you genuinely, truly love yourself, you show up differently in your work, in your relationships, in your health, in your joy.
Everything shifts from the inside out.
So give yourself some grace today, some patience, some kindness. You deserve it.
And if this conversation resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. A friend, a family member, a colleague. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone else is share something that might help them.
If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and come back for more real, natural English conversations just like this one.
We'll see you in the next one.
Take care of yourselves, everyone. And we mean that. Really take care of yourselves.
Until next time.
Bye for now.